Hi, I just wanted to take a minute to go over this FLL, First Lego League table that I built. It's based off of a design I found online. I believe it was on YouTube with a link to a Google Doc. And it's built using Coroplast, which many people would recognize from the bins that they use in the postal service. It looks like this. It's kind of a corrugated plastic, almost like cardboard. This stuff is somewhere around 1/4 of an inch thick. I believe it's measured in millimeters, but you can also get it in thicker sheets. So this is around 3/8 of an inch thick, and this is what the base of it's made out of. You can get it in thicker materials. I believe the individual I got the instructions from had access to thicker stuff. This is what I had available to me. I looked around to see where I could purchase it, and ultimately found that the best price was actually calling up a local sign shop. There's just a place up the road from me here that makes yard signs for businesses and things like that. And they were more than happy to order the sheets of this that I needed. I think it came out to somewhere around $120 for all the materials. So like I said, I had to use a little bit thinner material for the base here than that individual did. The other change that I made in the materials used for the construction is that he recommended using this Loctite spray adhesive, the 300 heavy. And I started out with this, and then I reinforced it with a little bit of hot glue. But I noticed even just a few weeks in, some things were coming apart. I'm not sure if that was my construction, my materials, something like that. But I did discover this E6000 glue that you can get at craft stores. This stuff is really phenomenal. Takes a little bit longer to dry than the Loctite spray adhesive, but it stays flexible and it has a really good bond. And anywhere where I had things come apart on our table, I put it back together with this E6000 and it held great. So those are the differences in the materials. I highly recommend the E6000. And if you have the thinner material here, the roughly 3/8, I'm not sure how many millimeters that is, material, I'll show you how you can adapt that to the table design. So looking at it, the table does come apart into 3 pieces. You can see the splits here. It is 3 pieces, and it slides together just like the other one in the design does, with kind of a tongue and a groove design. And you can see from looking at the end of this that the ends are made of 3 pieces of the thicker Coroplast that are glued together. And you see this one's coming apart. I need to glue that back in, but and then it slots into the other side. So you basically cut the middle pieces here longer than the pieces that go in the pockets for the middle, and that's how it fits together. But you can see the other difference in construction here for mine. So the 3 pieces works well, but one of the things I wanted was this top rail to have the same dimensions as the table that Lego recommends. So it's 1.5 inches thick. And the reason for that is that I think in years past, some of the mission models have kind of fit over the edge. And so I wanted it to be as similar as possible to that Lego table. And I found that with that thinner 3/8 material for the center, that it didn't come out to that dimension. And the way I got around that was I noticed that the thinner stuff, if you wrapped it up and around, would actually bring it up to that 1.5 inch dimension. So I simply planned on that, and that also gives it some nice added reinforcement, because I'm able, in doing that, to wrap the Coroplast under the bottom and glue it to the bottom of the table, which both covers up the edge of the Coroplast on the table bottom and the top, which just gives it a nice finished look and makes it a little bit stronger, less likely that those will come up. And I can show you, if you look around online, there's instructions on how to cut and bend coroplast. I'll give you a little sample of that in a second. And I also took the thinner material and glued handles on here. One other thing that I've tried and hasn't worked out too well, you can kind of see a peg sticking in there. To keep these two surfaces lined up when it comes together, I had put some pegs in there that slid into the adjoining side and kept the two in plane. That hasn't worked out great, but as you can tell, those ones got pushed back in there because the little dab of hot glue I put on it wasn't holding them. But that's something that you can do to keep them aligned. One of the other things that I made, changes that I made to the construction, is on the corners, it was just having a hard time holding together because of kids' tendency to lift up and carry the panels by their edges. So I reinforced those by taking bits of the coroplast and cutting these L brackets and gluing those on, and then also taking some strips and gluing them around the edge. And that has really given it some great strength between the E6000 glue and those extra reinforcements. It's made it very strong. I did cut these a little bit, cut little tabs on them to help them slide in here. Just kind of adapt it however you need to. But that's the table. It's worked out really well for us. It's very lightweight, very easy to transport. And if you haven't worked with the coroplast before, this is how you would, you can just cut it with a regular utility knife box cutter. And then for bending it around these edges, what you do is you take a piece and you cut in between the ribs there. So you have one rib that's kind of out by itself. Let's get it in the picture there. And then you cut that one out so you have a gap like this. Once that one is out, you can take this coroplast and just bend it over and you get a really nice outside corner. You can even bend it 180 degrees to get a nice curve. And so that's how you get the corner pieces here. That's how you bend it over the edge. It's a lot of cutting with a utility knife. It does take a while to do that, to get this finished look, but I felt like it was worth it. If you do need to bend it in the other direction, this material is a lot stiffer this way than it is this way. This way, if you didn't want to do that, you can just kind of crumple it and it will fold around. But this way, that's very difficult to do without destroying it if your bend is perpendicular to the ribs. If you do need to do that, and there's a couple places where I did do that, for instance, in the construction of these handles, I folded some of it around, and it's a little gross there from the glue, but makes the handle comfortable. You can just take and cut a V-notch in the material and it'll bend a lot better. But I think that covers all the changes that I made for this table. If you do have trouble kind of getting this in here, this one we had a little bit of trouble at times, so I just kind of cut the vertical ribs on the coroplast to get it to slide in. I guess that's one last thing that I did, but like I said, this table's worked really well for our team, and wanted to pass along these tips if anyone's looking to build one similar. Thanks.